So when it's dried, it looks like it's a shadow of itself, and that's the plan. That's what we're going to work on, and that's where we start putting in the colour. Hiya, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Purplish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. Today I'm trying out JDictions Mica powders. Now, they very kindly sent me some a couple of weeks ago, and I thought I'd use them to dust moulds to see how they come out. So yeah, let's, without any further ado, just crack on and have a go at dusting moulds with mica powder. So I bought this LETSRESIN mould from Amazon. It's a Ouija pointer mould. I'm not really into Ouija boards, but I love the design on this mould. So these are the colours that I have in the pack. I'm going to use violet. These are all JDictions. They come in a set, and the links will be in the description below. I'm also going to use Purplish Red, Magic Blue, and don't forget I have a 10% off discount code that I put in the description below and on the screen. I also chose black, magenta, and gold. So after having a good look at the mould, I decided I just want to do the right hand one, the one with the cat. That's the one I really bought the mould set for. So I'm going to be doing something called aging. Now, when you make anything and you want it to look aged, you have to cover it in a dark colour and then wipe it off. And that gives dark in crevices, in cracks, and makes things look older. Well, you can do that with resin. The beginning colour is the one that stays in the cracks. So I decide to do the whole thing in an aged look. So I cover it with black. Then I then spray it with isopropyl alcohol and wipe it clean. Now what that will do is that leave black in all the little tiny crevices, in all the cracks, in all the little details, and that will give the impression that it's aged when you turn it out. I hope you can understand what I mean here. Instead of having to do it afterwards, you can do it before. Also, by squirting it with isopropyl alcohol, it turns the black mica powder into liquid, and it will run down into the points of things. It will run down into the little elements, and it will pick up the detail in more vibrancy. So when it's dried, it looks like it's a shadow of itself, and that's the plan. That's what we're going to work on, and that's where we start putting in the colour. So the first colour I'm going to use is gold. Now, gold was the last choice of mine, but I do actually want to put it in here. Now, because I put the black on first, any colour that I put on after that will be dulled down by the black. And that's the aging effect that I'm going for here. So bright colours will become less bright. That doesn't mean they're not working the way they should. It means they're being aged. Now, as usual, between each colour that I put into a mould, I clean up afterwards with a Q-tip or a baby wipe, depending on the circumstances. And this just needs a little clean with a Q-tip, also known as a cotton bud. The next colour I'm going to use is magenta. Now, I do like magenta. It's a beautiful purpley pink colour. In fact, with the dark underneath, it will come out more blue purple than pink. But that's fine. I want the aged effect, that's what I'm going for. I'm deciding where to put the colour also, and yeah, I've decided to put all the crystals the same colour so that it's quite uniform across the board. I have sped up 90% of this video so that it's easy to watch. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It doesn't cost anything, it does help my channel out. I've recently become an Amazon affiliate again, and I have links to everything I use in the description below. Now we're moving on to Blue Magic. Now this is a really vibrant light blue, and I actually put it onto the moons, and later they get covered up. So unfortunately this blue you can't really see in the end result, but but it was a thought process at the time. You can change your mind when you're doing things, you know, and I change my mind frequently. Moving on, I can't decide whether I want to use Purplish Red or Violet, and I actually go for the Violet because I think it's more in keeping with the colour scheme that I've got going on at the moment. I do use the Purplish Red for the last phase. So with this, I'm just going around all the little twizzly bits, all the little twirls and leaves and petals and all sorts that's left in the mould. And I'm using this for basically everything that's left. I am going to clean up the eyes and a few bits in between. And then it's time for whatever colour I want to use on the back, or the base colour. And I would have liked a bright red, but Purplish Red is the only red that there was in the set, so that's the one I used. And it goes over everything basically, every little gap that's left. Don't forget, if you want to ask any questions, if you've got any comments, if you've got any ideas, use the section below and I'll get back to you. And there it is, all done, ready for the resin. I'm going to use JDiction black for the back colour. Now in hindsight, I think probably white would have been better here because I've already had the black on the front, which does the aging process for me. And I think the white would have made the colours more vibrant. But I went with black because most colours prefer a black background. So that's what I went with. It worked out okay in the end, and I did pour it really slowly here because I didn't want to get any bubbles. Check out the video that I have linked in the top right hand corner for changing the colours of mica powder with a base colour of resin. I did the drop technique to try and loosen up any bubbles that may have got trapped, and I'm going around the edge with a micro brush to try and get rid of any bubbles that might be in the surface. I do appreciate that not everybody has a pressure pot, and it's annoying to see people say, oh, I just come out of my pressure pot with no bubbles, but you can get no bubbles without a pressure pot. It just takes a little bit more time and a little bit more patience. Now, as I had some resin left over, I filled up the two cab areas, and I also poured some with some red dye into the opposing mould so that we could see what it looked like. And it actually came out really nice. It is a matte mould, like I said, but it's quite nice details. The cabochons came out quite sweet as well. They're very clear and quite magnifying actually, which is great, which is what you need for this mould. Now it's a little difficult to see because of the window film that I have. It casts a lot of colours over it anyway, so it's a little difficult to see what it's like. I'm trying out the cabochon in the centre and it fits beautifully, but I do need to secure it in there. So I'm going to cover the back with liquid latex. Therefore I can put some resin on the front to hold in the cab and won't be worried about the drips or splatters on the back that could ruin the piece completely. You can use other things such as glue. It works just as well, but as I have the liquid latex, that's what I use, and believe me, this stuff lasts forever. Now after making this piece look aged, I actually want to brighten it up a bit, so I'm going to use a Deco Colour Premium Silver pen to put some highlights on the moons and on parts of the crystals as well. That's where the blue went, it disappeared. So recently I made a dragon keychain, and when I was highlighting it with the silver, I inadvertently spilt a lot of the silver paint on my worktop and used a paintbrush to be able to use the silver. Now I thought that was a good idea, so now when I need to get into tiny spaces, I'll decant some of the silver onto a worktop or a plastic container, and I'll use a paintbrush to get the silver where I want it to be. So once that's all done, it's time to top coat with some resin. I have put some glitter in it to make it sparkle, and I want to bring this to life. So I'm going over with a paintbrush. I decided that paintbrush wasn't enough. I've got the liquid latex on the back, and basically I really want this to hold in the cabochon for the pointer in the centre. So sorry my hands were in the way, but basically I just popped it in the gap and used the resin to hold it in place. And now the satisfying part, taking off the back liquid latex. really do need to purchase some tiny little glass cabochons for Creature's eyes. This cat would have looked beautiful with cat eyes, don't you think? I didn't have any. I really should get hold of them. Well, I really enjoy using mica powder in moulds. I love dusting moulds, and the more detail in a mould, the better. And this one does have a lot of detail. Being that it's a matte mould, it does look so much better if you coat it with a coat of resin. And I put so much glitter in there, although you can't really see it on camera. It is definitely there. Can you imagine if that cat had real cat's eyes? That would have just brought it to life. I'm so going to get myself some tiny cabochons. And in my opinion, it definitely looks like it's old. But I really enjoyed making that. I've put velvet on the back. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting. I'll put up some stills. Bye for now.